Hello and welcome to Wisdom Trek. This is Guthrie Chamberlain, and I'm your guide to wisdom and creating a living legacy. Thank you for joining us for our 7-day-a-week, 7 Minutes of Wisdom podcast. This is day 94 of our trek. Yesterday we completed looking at the trails that would help us to hike with a limp. Anything in our life that is restricting us from moving forward is considered our limp. These restrictions or barriers many times come from bad habits that we have allowed to creep into our lives over time. In order to rid ourselves of bad habits, then they must be replaced by good habits. Today and tomorrow we will hike the trails of life that will allow us to start forming the good habits that we want to control our lives. We are recording our podcast from our studios at the Big House in Marietta, Ohio. Our lighter work days of last week resulted in an extra heavy backpack of client work this week. This was expected, and we were prepared for this busy trail that we encountered. Life's treks are much easier to manage if we prepare for them in advance. I can actually work better from a set schedule based on the routines and habits that I have established over the years. I enjoy rising early, having my exercise and devotional or meditation time before breakfast. It sets the tone for the entire day of productivity. Habits are part of everybody's life. We just need to make sure that they are positive and productive habits. Now it's time to break camp and study the trails of the habit of habit formation. This could be a very rough trail to hike today because we feel that habit formation is very difficult. Fortunately, we have a detailed map for our habit hike. There really is a comprehensive plan for setting habits in our lives, and if followed, we can form good habits and get rid of those that are bad. We recently had an opportunity to attend a trial where the defendant had shackles on his ankles. It was very evident that it was difficult, very slow, and painful for him to walk. In the same way, if we have the shackles of bad habits impacting our lives, it will hold us back and we will never be able to fulfill our God-given potential until we are freed from these bad habits. It is very important to realize that if we desire to rid ourselves of bad habits in any areas of our lives, then we must at the same time form new and positive habits, or we will just fall back into the same routine and never be freed from the shackles that restrict us. Remember that one key law of life is that when you say no to one choice, you are automatically saying yes to another. This applies to habits also. And it reminds me of the story that Jesus told when the religious leaders of his day accused him of casting out demons by the power of Satan. And as I read the passage from Luke chapter 11, verses 24 through 26, where Jesus speaks of evicting the demons from people, let's use the comparison of the demons being our bad habits in our lives. Many times we refer to our bad habits as our demons. And Jesus said, when an evil spirit leaves a person, it goes into the desert, searching for rest. When it finds none, it says, I will return to the person I came from. So it returns and finds that its former home is all swept and in order. Then the spirit finds 7 other spirits more evil than itself, and they all enter the person to live there, and so the person is worse off than before. This same principle applies to our habits as it does to the literal demons that Jesus cast out of many during his earthly ministry. On our trails for today and tomorrow, we will explore the research from habit creation specialist Leo Barbuta as we hike the trails of the 4 habits that form habits. One of the biggest obstructions that we encounter on our trail to good habit formation is that we visualize what the destination should be and we become overwhelmed to the point of paralysis, so we don't even make the changes that are needed. And if we do get motivated to change, at first we think that we can take large steps and make great strides. The trail is rather smooth and flat and we want to rush ahead. That is until we reach the steep slopes and we have already expended our energy. Then we have nothing else to give when it becomes difficult. So we stop and the old habits come rushing back into our lives sevenfold. As we explore the fundamentals of habits, those 4 key habit trails to form habits, and if you can learn from these 4 habits, then you'll have the foundation to form pretty much any habit in your life. So let's look at our first trail today. This is habit trail number 1, start exceedingly small. We want to look at a couple practical examples in this. Let's say you want to work out more, but you have a hard time forming this habit. Most people do have this issue. From having to get dressed in order to go to the gym to actually going to the gym, the thought of the hard workout and your mind tends to put off this habit. But the solution is exceedingly simple. The first day, just do 3 push-ups in the privacy of your home, or walk or jog for just 1 minute. Make it so easy that you can't say no. You may think, no, Guthrie, that's just plain ridiculous. Anyone can walk for a minute or do 3 push-ups. You will think that that's too easy and tell yourself that you have to do more than that. Unfortunately, this is the mindset that causes people to fail at their habits. We think we can do more despite the past evidence to the contrary, and so we aspire to greatness. we try to climb Mount Everest before we've learned to walk. Learn the fundamentals of habits before you try to do any advanced skills. And if I could convince the people of this, I could get many to change their habits, be healthier, simplify their lives, procrastinate less, and start creating amazing things in their lives. Here's another common habit that too few people actually do, which is flossing their teeth. So my advice is to floss one tooth the first night. Of course, that seems so ridiculous that you might laugh, but I'm totally serious. If you start out exceedingly small, you won't say no. You'll feel it's crazy if you don't do it, and so you'll actually do it. And the point is this: actually doing the habit is much more important than how much you do. If you want to exercise, it's more importantly that you actually do the exercise on a regular basis rather than doing enough to get a benefit right away. Sure, maybe you do need 30 minutes of exercise to see some fitness improvements, but try doing 30 minutes a day for 2 weeks without missing. See how far you get. If you haven't been exercising regularly, I doubt if you'll get very far. But then, if you don't succeed, try 1 to 2 minutes each day and see how far you'll get with that. And if you can do 1 to 2 minutes of exercise each day, you have a strong foundation for a habit. And if you can do 2 weeks of 1 to 2 minutes of exercise each day, you have a strong foundation for a habit. Add another week or two, and the habit is almost ingrained in you. Once the habit is strong, you can gradually add a few minutes each week. Soon you'll be doing 30 minutes on a regular basis, but you've started out really small. Now I'm a regular runner now, and I usually walk or jog for an hour every morning, in addition to doing pull-ups, push-ups, and crunches. But I didn't start out with an hour plus of intense running. I worked up to it gradually. I also gradually added getting up a few minutes earlier to compensate for the extra time that was needed to run and exercise. One important factor for ensuring success is to prepare ahead of time. For instance, I lay out all my exercise clothes the night before so that I am ready to get dressed in the morning. Let's get back to the flossing habit. Try to floss every tooth every night and see how far that you get. You may succeed, but if you fail, try 1 tooth per night and see how far you get. Your extent may vary, but on the average, most people get farther with a habit when they start it very small. Try 1 glass of water a day if you're not drinking water now, or 1 extra vegetable. Do 3 push-ups. If you desire to be a writer, try writing 1 sentence each day. If you want to do meditation, try 2 minutes of meditation. This is how you start habits that last. Start small and gradually build from there. Remember that life is a marathon, not a sprint. And as we implement these 4 habits that form habits into our lives, we are learning that habit formation is not all that difficult. But if we approach it incorrectly, that makes it difficult. So come along on our hike tomorrow for another day of Wisdom Trek, Creating a Legacy, and we'll discover the final 3 habits needed to form habits. Well, that will finish our podcast for today. If you've missed any of the previous podcasts, please check out Wisdom Trek on iTunes, Stitcher, SoundCloud, Spreaker, YouTube, or at wisdom-trek.com. If you enjoy our daily doses of wisdom, these little nuggets we consume each day, I encourage you to take the time to invest in yourself in these 3 ways. Invest with your time in improving Wisdom Trek by leaving your name, email address, and a comment on our website so that we can provide you with the wisdom and insights that best fit your needs. Number 2, invest in yourself by listening to your 7 minutes of wisdom through the Wisdom Trek podcast each day. And the best way to do this is to subscribe at iTunes or Stitcher and have it downloaded to you automatically. And third, invest in the lives of others by sharing with your family and friends, in person or online, to journey with us on our Wisdom Trek. And if you haven't done so already, please leave us a rating at iTunes or Stitcher so that we'll gain more exposure for others to join us on our Wisdom Trek. The journal for this podcast can be found at wisdom-trek.com, where we also have pictures, tweetable quotes, wisdom nuggets, and free resources. Thank you for allowing me to be your guide, mentor, but most importantly, your friend, as I serve you through the Wisdom Trek podcast and journal each day. As we take this trek together, let us always live abundantly or fully, love unconditionally, listen intentionally, learn continuously, lend to others generously, lead with integrity, and leave a living legacy each day. This is Guthrie Chamberlain reminding you to keep moving forward, enjoy your journey, and create a great day every day. See you tomorrow.